Assalamu alaikum, everybody, and a very warm welcome to this session on behalf of VLA, Virtual Legal Advisory, and Sana Pirzada Legal Solutions, and Zara SBINE and Associates. Today, we have a very esteemed guest speaker with us. I have to say, my childhood friend and a brilliant barrister, Zara Biani. Zara, thank you so much for being with us today.
Hi, Sana. Assalamu everybody. Thank you so much for having me on this webinar.
Before we commence, Zara, I have been so impressed by your illustrious record that I have to say a few things about you. And there is so much to say that unfortunately I'll have to read it from whatever I know about you. So you are an experienced litigator. You've specialized in civil, family, commercial arbitration, and whatnot. You are an advocate of the High Court, and you've been practicing for over 12 years now. You were called to the bar at Lincoln's Inn. I do remember that day quite well because I was sitting next to you. But you are also an attorney at law in New York, and you have your own law firm called Zara Sviani and Associates, and you have a team of 12 members. MashaAllah, you've been doing exceptionally well. You are also the CEO of Women Lawyers Association. You are also the first Pakistani woman to be elected in the Lincoln's Inn Bar Representation Committee in 2022 for a period of 4 years. And you are the only Pakistani woman to be a part of a collage on the wall of Lincoln's Inn as well. You're also presently the Assistant Attorney General for Pakistan. So I am truly in awe of you, Zara. Welcome to this webinar.
Thank you so much. That was a very kind introduction. Thank you so much, Sana. And it's lovely to be here. And as you said, it was lovely to, I'm so glad we were called to the bar together, and we sort of rekindled our friendship from there. But thank you for having me today.
My pleasure, Zara. So, Zara, a bit of a fictional title to this webinar. And as I write my book, and in my book as well, I have themes of romance and defamation, unfortunately. And I actually thought about this because this is something that's happening so aggressively nowadays with practically everyone, whether it's a friendship or it's a romantic relationship. That you have some sort of a bond with somebody, which is a very pleasant bond. It could be a romantic bond, and then the relationship sours and one party becomes aggressive, and then they start defaming you, they start blackmailing you, they start harassing you. And hence the title of this webinar, From Love Letters to Legal Notices, which is very unfortunate. So I just wanted to give the audience a little bit of a highlight to this background, that first of all, because of the rise in social media and technological advances, a lot of defamation is taking place online, harassment as well. Unfortunately, many victims are not aware of their legal rights. They don't really know that what's happening with them is wrong and that they have a legal recourse. And this is something that, of course, you will talk about for the remainder of this webinar. Another thing that we fail to understand is that with all of this that's happened from this process, or this downfall from love letters to legal notices, the emotional or the psychological toll that is, that it has on the victim. It's usually the female, but I have to also say that a male can also be a victim in some circumstances, and females can be very aggressive, as unfortunate as it is. So this is basically the background, Zara, and I'm going to just kick off with, so there are a couple of different bits to all of this. Let's start with harassment. And I have a few questions, and please do take your time, and enlighten us. So I'd like to ask you, what are the common forms of harassment seen in romantic relationships after they've ended? How can somebody legally protect themselves if their ex-partner continues to harass them via social media? And what are the legal remedies? So go ahead.
Well, okay, that's a tall order, but I will try and address each and every question in turn, and then maybe I might ask you in the middle saying, "Could you repeat your question?" But anyway, so firstly, I love the topic, and I'm in the title of this webinar. I think it's something which is so crucial to speak about. As you very rightfully said, in a romantic relationship, one doesn't realize what they are telling their partner. They try not to withhold stuff. from their partner, and that could be anything from messages to videos to pictures. There are times that because especially in our society or in any relationship, you don't think that this a relationship will end, or you don't, or in the foreseeable future, and the trust and the bond at that time is so important that one doesn't tend to protect themselves. And when you talk about harassment, that's the first thing that can happen. I mean, you also spoke, of course, about defamation, but just answering in turn, harassment is something that is, it's valid in every form or manner. They're valid in the sense of that every relationship can lead to that, and I will explain maybe via case laws as well. And you can ask me if there's anything that you think I am missing. But you're in a relationship, the relationship ends. Usually there's one party who ends the relationship, the other party feels that they are they're aggrieved and they want to get back. Either it's revenge, or it's just the fact that they want to get back with the individual who's left them. And that's when the harassment starts. The harassment can be, I've heard of even married couples, not only those, I mean, relationships of any are in any way or form. Even a brother and sister relationship can lead to harassment, for example. So, but I know we're talking about romantic ones more today more than anything else. But anyway, so in that situation, what can they do? They can go over to their partner or the ex-partner's house. I've had instances where, for example, ex-husbands or husbands in a relationship where the wife has separated herself from them, has gone over to the wife's house and beaten up everybody. So they've committed, there's physical abuse, there's verbal abuse, there's so much, which is also a form of harassment. Because yes, sure, abuse, of course, comes under domestic violence, but going over to their house is also harassing them. There are times where women, especially, or even men, but women, well, if they're working women, their places of employment are bombarded with calls. The ex-husband, or whoever, current husband, goes over to the workplace and starts getting and starts just causing a nuisance for her. And that is basically what harassment is. So it could be in any form or manner. And as I said, because we're sort of directing it in one on a certain topic, I won't discuss all of it. But so yeah, so what can you do when you get harassed? And I mean, I hope I've answered your question of how different types of harassment can take place. But it is usually that going over to the house, going over to the workplace, calling incessantly, emailing, posting on social media, tagging you everywhere, or tagging her everywhere, or him. And that is, so how do you counter that? It's very normal. It's a day-to-day thing that happens. There are different remedies, but the first one that I always advise is to go and file a complaint under Section 22B of the Pakistan Penal Code, right? Sorry, of the CRPC, I apologize. And what happens there is that you file an application under that section, and before you do that, you have to go to your nearest police station. Once you go to the nearest police station, you register your complaint there, then you get it stamped, and then you go to a lawyer and have it filed in court. Once it is an application under Section 22B is filed, the proceedings take place, the notices are sent to the individual. The police also investigates on their own, and the police is supposed to present a report before the court and say what they have found or investigated. Have they called the gentleman in? Have they called the lady in, depending on the circumstance? And then what happens thereafter, right? And what happened thereafter. So once it goes before the judge, the judge then decides whether a harassment has been taking place or not. And if, for example, the judge does decide that it has been taking place, a protection order is passed. Now that protection order is very interesting because it could be depending on how how you draft the application, but it could be to protect you, meaning the man or the woman, the victim or the complainant in at the workplace, at the house, or the relatives as well. So it depends on what you filed and what the judge considers, and what of course the police report says as well. Is that a deterrent though, a protection order? Technically, yes. There are different, I guess, levels of protection orders. Some are that you will have the police will visit every once a week or every 2 weeks and check in on the victim, so to speak. And if not, the others are that they cannot come, and if they come within 1 mile radius, for example, of the workplace or home, then they meaning the accused, or the alleged accused, can be uh, taken to task, and then the police sort of has to play their part. So that is the first step in a protection order, and that is one remedy that one can avail in such a situation. um, I mean, we have harassment in the Workplace Act, etc., but that doesn't apply here because of the fact that it's not a workplace; it is as you said earlier, a romantic relationship. So the best one can do in such a situation is the protection order.
Thanks so much for enlightening us with all of these details, Zara. Actually, you've touched on some uh, significant points over here, and I just wanted to delve a little deep into those. When we say that we need to approach the police, I know at that very stage, many women would fear even proceeding. Now, if it's a matrimonial scenario that has gone sour, as you illustrated, where somebody went and unfortunately beat up family members, that would make things easier for the woman's family to approach the police. But if it's unfortunately not a matrimonial situation, a man and a woman are communicating online, supposing they met at a chat room or something like that, or whatever the teenage things are taking place nowadays, there is that factor of embarrassment and social stigma as well, because of which many women would be a little reluctant to even come forward. In that situation, what kind of advice would you give to a woman then who's a little reluctant to go to the police station? Would it be wise to actually approach the lawyer and ask them to send a legal notice first and hope that the harassment would stop because of the legal notice? Hi, I can see you.
Can you see me? Okay, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, you disappeared. That's fine.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's fine.
Can you see me? 'Cause I can't see you. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Sorry. Go on.
Yeah, sure. Do you want me to just repeat that?
Yes, please, if you
Yeah,
could, if you
okay.
don't mind.
So I was going to say, yeah, no, I was just going to say that, whatever you've explained is so significant. And my only, well, reluctance over here would be, which is probably mirroring the reluctance of many women, that firstly, in terms of approaching the police, that is one issue that many people face. The second is that if it were a matrimonial situation, that which you very accurately highlighted, it's easier to approach the police. But if it's not a matrimonial situation, and if it's just two people having met online and having exchanged romantic messages or whatever, or most of these teenage scenarios that take place in our society, of course there is that social stigma. How am I going to tell people that I was actually exchanging these romantic messages with XYZ? How am I going to go and tell the police? How am I going to show them the chat history? So in that situation, what would you advise to people? I'm not even going to say to females, to people, what should they do? And secondly, do you think under these circumstances it's best to first approach a lawyer like yourself and request you to send somebody a legal notice before approaching the police? Do you think that would actually deter somebody?
So a legal notice, sure, would deter some people, and others would just not respond. The first step usually the first step to file a legal notice would be a first step in some scenarios. And as you very rightfully put it, that if someone had gone through such a, I was scared to go to the police, or felt that the police might judge them, as you said, very rightfully so. I mean, even in a marital relationship or in a marital dispute, the police usually say, well, we are not we don't want to be involved, or it's it's a domestic issue, so let's why don't you both address it, right? And if, as you said, it's a romantic relationship, then the judgment gets even, right, it just increases, because that's how um, our society is, unfortunately. So in such a situation, yes, a legal notice would be a good idea, to go to a lawyer and ask for one. But also, can also limit the kind of information they give the police, even if they go to the police, and just say this person is harassing me and sending etc. So and so messages to me, or coming to my house and trying to harm me. And one can sort of word the complaint in a manner in which may not face that judgment, or they will be able to get the result they want. So that is also one way of of handling such a situation. Saying that, legal notices are something that uh, we as lawyers love sending out, but a lot of people, as I said earlier, might not get affected by them. It just depends on who the person is. Also, you see, this is only harassment. Again, we're talking about filing a case or a complaint, etc. Another way of filing, well, and that comes in a different form of harassment, maybe. So, I'll give you an example. I had a case where there was a lady, and her cousin got hold of her mobile, and then she sold the mobile to him, etc. And there were some pictures in on that mobile which were between her and her husband. They were intimate pictures, and I think she forgot to delete them or whatever it was. That cousin, through another friend, tried to blackmail her and the husband. And even being family, it didn't stop him there. And what they did, and that is again another way of getting, your of addressing this kind of situation, is that they went and they filed a complaint with the FIA. And FIA would also, I mean, so this is one thing, and I'll move on to one more aspect of the FIA harassment or cyberbullying. But they investigated the offense, and they then thereafter, the case went to the sorry, there was the accused was put behind bars. He was not granted bail, and so that was a really good case to argue, because and to sort of experience, because there are some people who get what they get their rights, for example, if you want to call it that, or they do get good results and good judgments from the court. So that was one way of that lady and her husband getting there. Not, it wasn't even revenge. Just taking him to task for pulling such a heinous crime, technically, and trying to ruin their, not only their marital life, but also their image within the family and otherwise. And another part of, and that would go under this, just to speak about the legal aspect of it, that would go under the PICA ordinance. So that's how you would, those are sections. The section would be under the beaker, and that is how it would be addressed if such a situation arose. Also, cyberbullying can also be registered with the FIA. Complaint will be registered with the FIA, and then thereafter they will investigate. And if there is something, if there is some evidence, or they feel there is a case, then the same will go before the magistrate, and then thereafter, depending on what offense it is and what section it falls under, they may be put behind bars, etc.
I'm just trying to imagine some people behind bars. Anyway, just Just being a little sarcastic, but it's just become so unfortunate that people nowadays take advantage of of social media and WhatsApp, whatever it is. And it's just, जो हम उर्दू में कहते हैं परेशान करना, and then in English and in legal terminology, that is harassment in a way. But people so easily do it without even thinking that what we are doing, irrespective of the fact that I was this person's whatever romantic partner or friend. uh, there are legal repercussions, and this is something uh, for everybody to be aware of, not just the victim but the perpetrator as well, that you can get into some very serious trouble if you do this. And it brings me to the next segment of this webinar, that harassment often goes hand in hand with defamation because of the social media thing. किसी से झगड़ा हो गया, relationships are whatever it is, you can add a huge paragraph on Facebook or one of these Facebook pages and just simply malign somebody and tell people personal things about someone, naming them, जैसे आपने सही कहा a little while back, tagging them and splashing the mud on them. So Zara, I mean, obviously, with everybody has seen this high profile Johnny Depp and Amber case, which is a perfect example of love letters and whatnot to uh, one of the most high profile defamation cases in history. So do talk a little bit about defamation within the Pakistani context and the legal recourse, and what advice would you give to the victims, and what would you give to the perpetrator as well?
The advice to the perpetrator would be don't do it, but to the victims. So, yeah, defamation is something which is taken very lightly, and I think it shouldn't be. Because if a individual is defamed, it is that person which is being affected. Their stature in society is being affected. It leads into a lot of emotional damage apart from damage of reputation, which is what basically defamation is about. But it has a lot of impact socially and also personally. And I think that if anyone is involved in defaming another, they should think twice about it. And those who are being defamed should stand up for their rights. And put an end to it, because if someone is defaming another once, they will do it again and again, and again. So when we talk about defamation, the first thing they ask for is proof and witnesses under the law. And if you have that, then it is very easy for you to take the legal recourse. And I'll tell you exactly what options one has. The best thing is that defamation is regulated under the Defamation Ordinance 2002. But that ordinance is for civil matters. And then there is a criminal recourse as well. So you can do either or. And there's no bar in filing to a civil suit against defamation, which is when you'll ask for damages and you'll ask for emotional distress and all of and special. You can ask for special and general together, or you can ask for damages under the defamation ordinance. It just it depends on how the plaint is drafted or the case is drafted. The criminal remedy would be a private complaint for defamation. And then so I'll take you through both. I think I'll start with the civil first, then I'll tell you how the criminal is addressed. As far as so as I said earlier, the civil suit for defamation would be for a suit for damages, and would be that you will basically, you meaning the plaintiff or the victim of defamation, if I can call them that, is what the damage they've suffered emotionally and personally. They can get monetary compensation for that. And that is then the civil suit. So again, the bar is high. You have to prove that one was defamed. One has to prove that the defamation happened before more than two people. It could be WhatsApp defamation. It could be defaming online. It could be defaming online would be Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, etc. And then you would get damages if you can prove that you have been defamed. It depends on, again, filing. I know this is not what we're talking about, but if one wants to file, you can file. You have a 6.5 crore pecuniary value for filing in the district courts, and anything above that, if you want to ask for more, you file in the high court. But the bar to ask for more than 6.5 crore and to be able to prove that your case is maintainable in the high court, maybe something that one would have to think about before filing. But the lower court, it has jurisdiction. You can ask for a certain amount, and then you have to prove why you are asking for the amount you are as damages. So if you're saying emotional damages are, I don't know, 2 crore, then you have to say why they are 2 crore, etc. I'm just giving you examples because of the value that there is, the pecuniary value. Now, if we are filing under if we take the criminal recourse, then what happens? One, you file the case before the magistrate, and they will record your statement the day you file. In that, you will also have to have witnesses and any evidence, of course, that you want to attach alongside, you can. Anything which will strengthen your case and will help you attain what you want. In a criminal case, what can you ask for? You can ask for an apology, and you can ask for them to be again put behind bars, or serve some sort of a penalty, right? Whether it's in fiscal or otherwise, but mostly otherwise. Now, the procedure is that you file a complaint for defamation, a private complaint. Then your statement is recorded by the judge, and if you have witnesses, their statement is recorded. The judge then decides whether he or she will take cognizance of the offense, and if they do decide to do so, then warrants are issued. So the accused are asked to come to court, and if they do not come, then then there'll be bailable warrants. The next step would be non-bailable warrants, etc. And then the case will continue, and there will be evidence, and similar to a civil case, but of course these are maybe the main differences that I've sort of highlighted, not going to the boring details. So that is how one would file for defamation. And as I said, civil would be only damages, civil remedy, and then criminal remedy would be all of this.
Thanks for that, Zara. I think you may have touched on that, and I think I may have missed it because there was a lot of useful information in whatever you've said. And again, I thank you from the bottom of my heart, because this is so useful for people who are just not aware of any of these details. I mean, just the fact that you spoke of the pecuniary damages because of the emotional loss, and I suppose that would probably entail psychiatric treatment. I don't know, probably that's how you assess the amount, or that could be one factor because of the abuse that you've endured. But I was just going to ask you that when you are determining, so when the plaintiff determines whether they want to proceed with a civil suit or a criminal suit, what makes them go in a certain direction? Why would they choose the civil suit over the criminal, or is it to do with the severity of the offense?
Well, severity. See, when you are being defamed, it depends on you how severely you take it, right? So it's not about that. As I said, civil would be more for damages. So usually people file both. A civil case will also cost you more in terms of legal fee, because there'll be filing fee, etc. A criminal complaint would not, a private complaint would not maybe cost you that much, depending on, right? But apart from that, a lot of people choose both options, because they say, because you are allowed under the law. And if you, and some say no, but we want, because there's been damage to our reputation, which cannot be rectified, right? I mean, it's something that's been done, it's been said. So let's get compensation for it, monetary compensation, because my goodwill has gone down, or whatever it may be, depending on how, whether it's an individual or organization, etc. So yeah, that is that I think is a determining factor.
Okay, great, Zara. That was extremely useful. So thank you so much for having discussed the harassment bit in a lot of depth, as well as defamation and the legal recourse. Is there anything else that you would like to add? Because we have, I think that we have covered a vast majority of the points. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to the audience? I mean, I know that you said, sorry to have interrupted you. That bit that you said at the very start, the advice that you would give to the perpetrator and the victim. Would you like to elaborate a little on that?
So I feel, for the victim, our society, and I keep on saying us because we live in this society, whether it's male or female, we are scared to go to the courts because one doesn't know what to expect. And I feel, and I see this as someone who's very, I believe in the rights of people, and I think if you are being wronged by anyone, then you should take them to task. And it could be in any way or manner, taking a legal recourse, or settling with them, or however it's possible. But I mean, because we're talking about fighting in court, I think one should fight for their rights. If someone is defaming you, if someone is harassing you, you have a right as a citizen of the country to not be harassed and not be defamed. And why should you not use that right? Is the way I look at it. And I mean, that's for victims mostly, that you should stand up for yourself, and you should be, I mean, yes, it costs money to file in court. Very few organizations or institutes will actually fund someone's, I mean, for example, we do pro bono work as well, but it depends on the pay scale of the individual, etc. If you file on for them free of cost. Now, the only thing is that if, for example, one can afford to fight for their rights, or they come to some sort of a negotiation with their lawyer, I think it's very important to do so, because you need to protect your person, and you need to fight for your rights no matter what they are. As I said, man or woman doesn't matter. So whether you're being harassed, you're being defamed, it's very important to sort of make the other person realize it's not okay. And sometimes legal action is the only way.
I'll just second you over there, Zara. Again, this has been a remarkable webinar. You have so uh, patiently and so eloquently explained the entire process. And I would, on a serious note, highly recommend anybody who's going through an unfortunate situation like this to actually approach you. When we talk about the legal notice thing. And I would also say to victims of, who have been in some sort of an emotional relationship or even a friendship, and if you feel like you are a victim of harassment and defamation, I completely agree with you, Zara. Please stand up for your rights. You need to take action, because there is this domino effect. If you don't, if you don't stop this person now, they're going to continue and do this with you or with somebody else as well, or with a number of different people. And I think that we need to set these precedents as well. And the one piece of advice that I would give to the perpetrator is that, when you go ahead and harass and defame someone, it might feel good for a time until you're getting away with your, criminal actions potentially. But once you get caught, and once this entire procedure goes, once the process goes against you, you are going to be the one who's going to be defamed, and you're the one who people will you probably harass online. So please refrain from, victimizing others. So that's all I'll say, Zara. And thank you so much. It was so wonderful to have you as part of this webinar. I hope that we can keep connecting from time to time, and making use of the this wealth of knowledge that you possess.
It was a pleasure to be on this webinar with you, Sana, and thank you for having me. It's been so lovely to converse with you on here, and I hope that we've had a few glitches, but I hope that this airs well.
Thank you, and thank you to the audience for watching this. If you have any questions, and on a serious note, if you are a victim of harassment or defamation, you can reach out to Zara Biani. You can connect with her on LinkedIn, and Zara, you have a website as well. You can probably just share the web address. Is it zarasbianiassociates.com?
It's www.zsvlegal.com.
Okay, great. And you can get in touch with Zara and you can probably consult her for a legal notice. God forbid, but yeah. So Zara, thank you so much. Thank you so much to the viewers for watching this webinar, and we hope to see you next time. Thank you again.
Thank you.